I think right now, Tony, it's a bit of a perfect storm. We had a blast of Delta coming down from the north. You know, you saw Vermont, New Hampshire, then Massachusetts on fire. Omicron coming up from the south. New York has a higher infection rate right now. New Jersey is even higher still. And I'm afraid Connecticut's in the middle. And that's why you see the infection rate that you do. But again, the good news is you get the booster, you're safe.
How are we doing on booster shots, though, here in Connecticut, in terms of a percentage of those who have been...
We're doing better than just about any other state, and we got to do a lot better. Let's say we're at 35% of those eligible have gotten the booster. We're adding on maybe 100,000 a week. I'd like to see that double. We have 400 sites all over the state. It's easy to get a booster, no cost to get a booster. You do this, you're going to be safe. That's what you got to know. That's how you enjoy this season.
Governor, I noticed, in some shopping malls you go into, they suggest you wear a mask, not necessarily mandating it. Are we at a point now where you would encourage places where there are large gatherings to make masks? I understand they're private businesses, but to make masks.
I think the private businesses, I think the restaurants, the stores, they're the ones who have to enforce it, so I have to have them on board. They're going to do what they think is right for their employees and for their customers. I can tell you for myself, though, I go in some place, it's pretty busy, I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah. So basically take care of yourself.
And if you're a restaurant owner, you want to take care of the folks who are washing the dishes and serving the tables. You want to make sure their customers feel safe. Tony, look around. Look at New York. Restaurants and bars are closing. Nobody's telling them they've got to close. They just have a hard time keeping their key employees safe.
In terms of the Department of Education, might you have a conversation with them about whether or not schools go remote after Christmas? What is your
I'm going to do everything I can to keep our schools open. I think there's nothing more important. There's only 2 more days left in this semester, so I think that will solve itself for 2 or 3 weeks. I think all of our teachers are vaccinated. Most of them are boosted right now. They are safe. And the kids are wearing a mask, and increasingly they're getting vaccinated, so they are safe.
What are you learning about Omicron? Because we've heard varying reports. South Africa saying obviously highly contagious and people aren't getting as sick, but the UK is saying their hospitalizations are up over 30%. What are you hearing here?
I'm hearing that South Africa spiked up the Omicron and then it went back down. I'm told, as you point out, Britain has spiked up. They're flattening out right now. The good news is there's probably, while it's terribly infectious, it may be a lot less virulent. And what it may mean is a lot of people suffer a mild infection, they build up some immunity, and this is COVID's last battle. I hope to God that's the case, but it's just a hope right now.
I've heard that with other viruses, when you get to this stage where the, it's highly contagious and maybe less in terms of the overall impact, that means we could be transitioning from a pandemic to an endemic? Is that something that...
I'm not quite sure the difference between those words, but I think what it's going to be like for the next few months is that there's going to be a lot more testing, and if you test positive, there'll be a therapy. Pfizer, Connecticut's very own Pfizer has got a therapy. You'll take that in 5 days, you'll be back at work, you'll be back at the school. We're going to have to manage through this. It's not going to disappear overnight.
We have a couple... the hospitalizations have quadrupled in the last month. Is there a number that would be of particular concern for you?
The question is about the hospitalizations. They've gone up a lot over the last month. They were down 3 today, so I look for glimmers of good news. I think the only thing I'm very hopeful about is while infections are very high, hospitalizations were middle of the pack, and fatalities were still near the bottom. And that just reminds you that the boosters work. Your question, though, is when do you change course? And if I saw our hospitals actually being overwhelmed and weren't able to take care of people who are really sick, we'd probably have to take a second look and do things that make a difference. But again, I'm looking at New York. I'm looking at New York, which has, really tough, strict mandates and vaccination protocols, and you can't go into a place and they have a higher infection rate than we do. So I like to do things that work as well. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.